Okay, hello and good day to everyone that is really tuning in here at the Sphere Rocket Podcast Network. Once again, I'm going to be the host for today's episode. My name is Dwayne, and with me today, our very special guest for today's episode is Ryan Rominger. How are you doing today? And welcome to the podcast.
Doing well, doing well. Thank you for having me.
And before anything, I would like to ask, what is written in your cap right now? Just
Oh,
intrigued.
this is
Oh,
our company here, so I'm repping the most important brand here. So it's
okay.
Intrigue Property Management. That's our Intrigue Property Management and Realty Group up
Yeah,
in
I was
Indianapolis.
intrigued by your cap. It's funny that it's intrigue. That's the name of your business as well.
Yeah.
So before we get into the questions about your business and stuff like that, so can you tell me what was the last thing that you ate before you got to this podcast?
Oh my gosh, that's a funny icebreaker question. My the last thing I ate, I actually eat it for breakfast like pretty much every day. I always have like a late breakfast after working out in the morning. That's kind of my routine.
Like a
Uh,
brunch or just a
yeah,
breakfast?
yeah, sort of a brunch at like 10:30. I like to like work out actually on like an empty stomach. But so I had 4 eggs, and I do them like I put like eggs in we put some oil and eggs in a pan, and then put a little bit of water and cover it. I do like the basting method. So I do 4 of those, and then I had 10 chicken sausage links. So
That's
with some like
quite. You just went 4 eggs, okay, and then 10 chicken sausage.
yeah,
That's quite
yeah.
a long up from that. So that's your normal regular breakfast.
That's what I usually do, like 8 or 10. I did like a pretty like
Mhm.
I burned a lot of calories in the gym today, so it was
I see. I
do
guess
like a
yeah.
big breakfast after
Kind of like
that.
a bodybuilder's breakfast kind of thing.
There's never enough protein. So
That's true. And that being said, you have time to go to the gym and stuff like that. And I guess right afterwards you go straight to work. So that's kind of like your daily routine. So how's your real estate work going for you in like in your daily life instead of work-life balance?
yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the routine I'm able to do pretty much every day. I'll, do the gym and the eat breakfast, kind of shower, and then usually by like 10:30 or 11, that's when I'm getting into just catching up on all the emails and usually my meetings, like like this, I usually do from like 10 to 5 or 6 p.m. Or sorry, noon to like 5 or 6 p.m. every day. Um, and yeah, and sometimes I'll have showings in the evenings for the real estate side of things. So I'm a team lead for Intrigue Realty Group. We're a team within True Blood Real Estate. They're a local brokerage here in Indianapolis, ran by Jim Trueblood. And they've been a great brokerage to be a part of. We actually recently moved from Compass over to True Blood back in like June. So fairly recently, but it's been going really well with those guys. And yeah, we have actually 3 other agents besides myself on the Intrigue Realty Group team, Daniel, Richard, and Zyra. So I support those agents kind of as the team lead. So that's a big part of my role. And I also work directly with buyer and seller clients myself. And in addition to all of that, I run a property management company as well. So Intrigue Property Management is my company. Started it back in 2018, and we've managed to we're up to about 400 units that we're managing around the greater Indianapolis area. And we've got a whole team of local operations managers here that assist me in managing the properties, and really do most of the boots on the ground stuff. Um, and yeah, we actually work with a total of 3 virtual assistants. 2 of them we hired through Sphere Rocket, and yeah, it's been really helpful, going really well.
I guess you've been quite busy. If you're handling everything like in the side of your own business, you're working out as well in the between. So I'm glad you're able to somehow put it all like in your schedule and be successful in it, knowing that you're able to handle such huge kinds of deals, 400 units in like less than 6 years in amount of time of that. But going back though, how did you got into real estate in the first place? Is it like, you were in high school, you were in college, and you're like, I want to be a real estate agent? Sort of
Yeah.
that. How was
Yeah.
it?
Good question. So yeah, it wasn't my first career out of college. I went to college for I got my bachelor's in economics, and yeah, I actually met my wife at college. We both went to school in Virginia. I'm originally from California, actually, like Central California area, and she is from Indianapolis, so she's originally from this area, Greenwood, which is like the southern suburb. So we actually moved up here in 2015 when we graduated. And the first 3 years, I kind of had a couple of different jobs. First one was actually with Jimmy John's. They're like a sandwich company, like Subway, sort of. And I was like a franchise coach. So my job, I was like auditing Jimmy John's restaurants all over the Midwest, which was really interesting. I felt like I learned a lot about like the restaurant industry, but it also like wasn't for me. I was just on the road all the time, and it was a pretty hard job. That company, they rode their employees pretty pretty hard. So I actually switched to logistics. I got a job at a freight brokerage, where so from about like late 2015 all the way to 2018, I worked in the logistics industry, like connecting carriers with freight. So we'd have customers like Walmart and Nestle, and they'd hire our company to just move their freight all over the country, and we would find carriers to move that freight. So that was kind of my first experience in like brokering deals and stuff like that. I got into more like pricing and procurement towards like the in like 2017, 2018. So I was like living in spreadsheets and stuff like that. So that was kind of interesting, but I just couldn't like shake the feeling that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to set my own hours and be able to just work directly with clients and build a business. Which there wasn't a lot of opportunity for that. Just in my role working for a large freight brokerage. Um, so I was getting really interested in Indianapolis real estate because we bought our first house in 2016, which, believe it or not, we actually paid $85,000 for in Indianapolis, and it was turnkey, move-in ready, a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, on the east side, like 19th and Emerson.
How did you get that deal? Like, wow.
Yeah, and honestly, it's just that's what the prices of houses were in just certain pockets of Indianapolis back then. And so which just even at the time like just seemed like this is way too inexpensive. Like why is it so this is such an affordable city compared to even what other cities similar sizes to Indianapolis were seeing at the time in 2018. So I was just really interested in what was happening in Indiana real estate at the time, and so I just like I'm gonna look into getting my real estate license. And a friend of mine kind of told me about uh, really introduced me to property management and how that works. And it's like, well, you receive a percentage of the rent income if you manage properties for investors. And I was like, well, that just makes practical sense because as a new agent, that's one thing that agents struggle with all the time is like building um, your your network, your database of buyer and seller clients. So a lot of agents that first couple of years they starve because they're not closing enough. It's very hard to close enough business. So that was like on the SWOT analysis, that was in the sort of the weakness or like the threat category. As I was, thinking about getting my real estate license, I was like, well, if I do property management as well, and I launch a property management company, I can earn monthly income, which will kind of help, pay the bills while I work.
Stability. Yeah.
Yeah, so originally it was purely just a pragmatic approach to being able to float myself and work in a field that's adjacent to real estate sales, um, while like focusing on building, real estate sales. And I don't even know that I necessarily planned on doing property management long term when I first started it. It was kind of just like, okay, this will get me through while I build real estate. And as the years went by, I was like, well, like I can earn just as much money from property management as I can from real estate sales, and the two also just complement each other so well, because so many of the same clients I'm working with to help them buy investment properties, they also need a property manager. So being able to serve clients on both sides, has really just created a good full service offering that we're able to provide our clients with. And it's yeah, and now we're just growing.
Yeah, more business opportunities. And I think that really helps out because I've talked to agents where, as you mentioned, they starve for months if, in times where they can't sell anything. So I guess property management is something that they can look into where they can have a stream of income until they're, ready to go full in on real estate. But in your case, your secondary option, which is property management, became your primary source of income. If I'm not mistaken, you
Yeah, I
focus.
mean that's completely accurate. That
Mhm.
is the property management side, is sometimes it's about 50-50 in terms of where the revenue is coming from, but consistently property management is the more, lucrative side of the business for sure.
Exactly. Consistency is that's important to make sure that you like able to pay off the bills and taxes and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure when you got started into the business, I mean, I'm pretty you're no stranger to starting on a new career, given that you changed careers quite a number of times in your life. So, how was your first? What do you think were your biggest challenges when you got started into real estate or just property management in general, and how were you able to get through it?
Yeah. I think so. Biggest challenge coming into real estate, it really was that, even with the plan of I'm gonna do property management as a way of supplementing income. I mean, I started off managing 6 properties for one client. Like it was just a very as organic and as small humble beginnings as it gets. So starting off, growing the property management company, um, and trying to basically get my schedule full time into real estate, it was a process. There was like a probably a 3 or 4 month period, where I was wrapping up getting my real estate license, taking the course, working on getting the license, working on forming the property management company. I left my job at the freight brokerage, and actually I took a number of like part-time jobs. So I was like an assistant site manager at a company called Go Ape, where they're like a zip line high ropes course company. So I was like working on zip lines. That was the year that Lime and Bird, the scooter thing where you can um, uh, use a phone app to like get uh, pay for a scooter and an electric scooter you can ride around. That was the year that those all came out. So they were paying. They called people chargers, where if you like had a truck or something, which I did at the time, um, they would pay you like anywhere from $5 to $20 per scooter, if you went around town and like picked them up and then took them home and charged them in your garage. So I was doing that. I was like charging scooters every night. I was doing all of this stuff to kind of like just make some extra income while I like pursued this dream of like becoming a real estate agent. And really the bigger dream outside of that was like becoming an entrepreneur and having just owning my own business. So that was, yeah, that I guess that was a challenge, all of that, like just managing my time, figuring out like, okay, how am I like just making money from four different sources and trying to figure out like how to, just earn enough to keep paying the bills. Luckily, I mean, I had I'm married and I had my wife's support as well. She was working, and so she still had some consistent W-2 income. But yeah, so like facing kind of that challenge of like replacing my sort of share of the income in just a number of different creative ways was a challenging period for sure.
Yeah. You know what? It's quite funny because I was living in Berlin before. I always see those scooters all over the place. I
Yeah.
was wondering, how are they charging that?
How are
Is
they
it like
talking?
overpowered? And oh, now it makes sense when you mentioned
Yeah.
that someone is actually taking them out to charge them all the time. Okay, it
Yeah,
does make
that's you can watch if you're ever out in one of those cities like around like 9 p.m., 8 or 9 p.m. It's like it only happens like for like 1 hour. It's like at 9 p.m. That's when they want them to go get picked up. So all the ones that are like out of battery, they show up on your phone on a like map, and it's kind of like a game. Like you get to like go like try to hunt these things down.
like a treasure hunt. Yeah,
One of the problems, and maybe they figured this out since then, but one of the problems at the time was you'd be competing with other chargers. So like you would show up to try to grab the same scooter, and it's like
like a
chargers are
fight over it.
yeah, they're like racing each other to try to like. So it kind of became like this cutthroat, thing. And then you just charge them, and then they wanted you to have them out at 7 a.m. the next morning. So it's kind of weird hours, but at the same time, it was like you're working basically 2 hours a day, and you'd make $300 or $400 from all
That's
this.
good money. Definitely good money for that amount of time. But
Yeah,
that being said, all of this, your business is built on hard work. There's no shortcuts. People might have looked at you now like, oh, you're so successful, must have been easy for you. But you need to switch between four different kinds of like careers or jobs to make sure that to keep yourself afloat until finally you got your snowball of business that's racking out all the money, all the connections that you made. It all made sense. And you mentioned, of course, your wife is one of your biggest supporters in your life, not just your work as well. But do you have like your own team? You have your own team in real estate, but do you have a separate team for your business itself? And how were you? How did you build your team? Like choose the right people for the right positions?
yeah. Good question. Yeah, that's been so it's been a process, right? So originally we the first person I hired was the first year we were in business, 2018. First person I hired was an operations manager, and he's still with us to this day. And So it was just somebody who could take over a lot of the day to day with property management, so I could focus more on business development, continuing to put systems in place and bring on new clients. So that was kind of hire number one, and then hire number two was a local admin person um, that was started helping me with the bookkeeping and just all of the billing and the things we were doing on that side of it. And she was with us she worked from home. She was so it was kind of like a virtual assistant, but here locally. And yeah, the what I had to pay to be competitive for just like the local economy here in Indianapolis was much higher than kind of the going rate for virtual assistants in the Philippines. And honestly, the quality of work was, I had to put in so many like accountability measures. It was difficult to, um, it was just very difficult to train. It was, um, there were just so many, as much as it went okay and the job was getting done. Um, it was just overall like a kind of a mediocre experience in terms of like, if I wasn't really paying attention as a manager, the work just wouldn't get done. I couldn't trust that it would get done. And I would actually say that second hire of our admin manager, that was probably one of our more successful local hires, even as sort of relatively mediocre as it was. We actually at a couple different times we tried to hire a transaction coordinator. We tried to hire a marketing manager, and both of those were just catastrophes. Just it was just like apparent within like a couple of weeks, like this was a bad hiring decision that we made. And of course, like we had to do what like no manager enjoys doing, which was like, firing an employee. And so like dealing with that, and then you just feel like you've put so much time in, all to just like not really get anywhere. So we were definitely trying to invest in kind of a local admin team here. But one of the big challenges with real estate is like it's hard to ever really be in an office together. So much of the work is done remotely. Agents like myself, we're running all over town all the time. So to have try to create an office environment where it's like, okay, we're all going to go meet in an office, it's just not really practical for this industry. So you want people that you can trust to be kind of autonomous and work, be able to work from home, and work virtually. So whether you're hiring locally or hiring, abroad, that's the scenario that you need to create. So all the systems you have to put in place to make it work with hiring a virtual assistant from the Philippines, you would have to do that locally, even if you wanted to hire locally in Indianapolis as well. That was at least the conclusion I came to. So I was like, well, and then just uh, what you would pay for somebody who is working in a different economy than the United States, is just so much more competitive than what you would have to pay for somebody who's just honestly probably not going to do as good of a job, and working here, locally. So that was like a process, like a learning curve that I met with. And the interesting thing, so Sphere Rocket actually wasn't the first like VA hiring company that I encountered. And For the first VA that I hired was actually through another company that I got connected to through when I was at Compass at the time. They introduced me to a company that had a little bit of a different model than Sphere Rocket. And honestly, it was a great experience, and they were a little bit more like, they like you just pay us a flat fee every month, and we'll hire and manage the virtual assistant here locally for you. And it went great for the most part. But eventually that VA had to quit due to personal reasons, and they kind of swapped in another VA who he's continuing to work with us and doing a decent job. But that was sort of when I was like, I was right. The timing was so awkward because it was actually right as I was trying to grow, and I needed to hire another VA. And that was about the time I heard about Sphere Rocket. And and realized like, oh, I think I've kind of been overpaying for for what I'm uh, just in terms of what I'm paying for what I'm getting, and yeah, so far the experience with Spear Rocket and working with Carlo, and now we just hired Nick. The two VAs we've hired through Spear Rocket have been great. So it's been that's been really helpful to have that.
Lots of trial and error until you finally got the perfect one and got introduced to the right company for you to head your VA. Because I've talked to people who had those kind of experience. Fellow VAs, they got like 30%, sometimes even 60% of their salary getting cut off by a company. Just a flat fee, as you mentioned, a percentage of their salary, and it makes them discouraged in a way that, okay, so I'm working in Thailand and just getting 40% of and 60% by someone else. I guess that's the thing about Sphere Rocket. Also, it provides that kind of option for VAs to get exactly what they're working for, and of course, there's a fee that's paid by the manager or the business owner, but it's still a lot less compared to the other ones, and it doesn't affect directly the salary of the VA. And
Yeah.
in your Mhm.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, that's something I appreciate the transparency of how Sphere Rocket does their pricing, where I know what I'm paying Sphere Rocket and I know what I'm paying the VA. Whereas they definitely intentionally keep it kind of vague, at the other company where it's like, yeah, here's what you're paying total, but I don't know how much is going to the VA and I don't know how much is being kept by the company. So
in a way,
they
you're gonna feel a bit guilty, if you found out that their salary is getting cut off. And yeah, I guess the transparency is one of Sea Rocket's strengths in terms of services. And if you can tell me, in terms of hiring a VA in general, not just from Sea Rocket, compared to not having a VA, how much difference did it make in your business?
Oh, it's been huge. I mean, it's funny. I I've always been a big fan of Southeast Asia, like as an area, and like all of the. So in college, I got to go to Malaysia, and I got to on a separate trip, I got to visit Indonesia, like Jakarta and Bali, and an island called Sumbawa. I still have never gotten a chance to go out to the Philippines. I really want to go see it.
You were
Uh,
so close.
yeah, my wife and I actually we also we've just bounced all around it because we've been in the process of actually adopting. We adopted a little boy from Thailand. It was like a 3-year process that actually just came to fruition back in July. So just last month in July. So we just spent a month in Thailand. So we were at least we were just 1 hour off from the time zone of the Philippines. Um, but yeah, we plan to go back soon, and we definitely want to stop by the Philippines and see it. But I guess so I've always been. I mean, the food is amazing. All of the people I've met in Southeast Asia are amazing and wonderful and nice. And getting to work with the 3 people from the Philippines that work with our team. Just the work ethic is incredible. The honesty and attention to detail is I've just been really happy, and really the relief it gives you as a business owner, knowing like, okay, I can just make plans and actually see those plans carried out by my team. Is that's just that's the main thing you want as a business owner. Um, so it has made a huge difference going from the experiences I had trying to hire locally for admin roles. I mean, you're always going to need local people for for roles like when obviously the agents we work with, and on the property management side, the operations managers, the people that are the point of contact for leasing and ongoing coordination with the tenants. That we have great local people that we work with for that side of it. but for the ongoing admin tasks, so we have a transaction coordinator. That's Carlo, who we hired through Sphere Rocket. Um, he does an incredible job supporting myself and the other agents on the transaction side. He also does some work with my social media, and just different admin supports for Intrigue Realty Group. The person we just hired is actually a video editor, Nicholas. So he's going to be really helping us. We've been creating a lot of reels about like Indiana as a state and Indiana tourism, kind of adjacent to the real estate stuff that I do, and kind of creating content around that. So working with Nick is really going to help. And I should have mentioned, as part in terms of our team, my wife has actually kind of been a quasi employee for the last like 6 years, because she's always been our communications manager. She has a background in graphic design, so she's really helped with our website design, and she's been doing a lot of the video editing and stuff for my social media and our team's social media. So having Nick on the team to be able to take over more of the video editing tasks will just allow us to uh, really increase our production when it comes to content, and that makes such a big difference in our business. And then Roy, who our he works as our operations coordinator on the property management side. And he's the virtual assistant we hired through we have through the other company, and he does a great job as well. So we've been we've it's been a huge game changer, to say the least, to work with virtual assistants.
Yeah, countless hours, and of course, the cost is a lot cheaper compared to having someone locally, and pretty much having that kind of difference will add up. Like in an hourly basis, let's say you lose 2 hours every day doing video editing and stuff like that, but with virtual assistants, cost cutting, and yeah, more time, so you can focus more on the business side that really matters for your business.
Yeah.
And talking more about your business itself, though, so what do you think should people invest in real estate in Indianapolis?
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of the Indianapolis real estate market. I mean, our median price point here is still around 240, 250, 250K, which is just substantially lower than other cities of a similar size. I Doing what I do with property management and working as a realtor as well. I work with so many investors, and there's so many people investing in the Indianapolis market, and the reason is just it's so obvious. The ratio of rent rates to purchase price. This is one of the few remaining mid-major cities where you can receive positive cash flow. So if you buy a single family home, or especially if you buy like a duplex or a small multifamily, the properties here, the mortgage you would have on the property, if you turn around and rent that property, you're actually receiving more money in monthly income than you're spending even after financing the property. So if somebody just has 30 or 40K to put down, they can receive positive cash flow on a property that's also appreciating in value. So there's nothing on the stock market that compares to an investment like that. So I am very bullish on Indianapolis. That's all just pragmatic stuff. That doesn't even include the fact that Indianapolis is just continuing to develop like crazy, and there's so many really exciting projects going on, and it's just becoming a better and better place to live.
Especially places like that are getting rare to have affordable housing, and as you mentioned, increasing rent, yeah, good ratio to the rent wherein you're making good cash flow based on just renting it out. And if I may ask you a question in regards to your career as a whole, because you've been it's been a roller coaster kind of ride with you switching careers, but you opted out in real estate for the longest period of time, if I'm not mistaken. So, what is it in real estate that you saw that you didn't see in the other jobs? I mean, maybe past the money, beyond the money. What is something that you saw in real estate that you didn't see in your past careers?
Yeah. Um, well, I think it's a couple of things. So for me, real estate was a is an avenue to get into entrepreneurship. And so what I would say from entrepreneurship that I didn't see in other jobs is just freedom and like just the time. So it's always been more about the flexibility and freedom for me than the money. You know, as long as I'm making enough money to pay the bills and survive and like that's all that really matters to me. I'm not trying to make a ton of money. It's more about I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to take time to spend with friends and family. So that's always been the driver for me, and real estate has allowed me to do that within reason. It's not like I can just go take a year off, but it's just having the flexibility to be able to work from wherever I'm at, and have that flexibility is important to me. The other big thing, more specific to real estate, that I didn't really get to experience in my other job, uh, is I it's a little bit of a B2B business in that I do work with like investor clients. But it's more of a I get to work with real people. You know, I get to help families buy and sell homes. I get to help families buy families and individuals buy their first investment property that is going to help with their retirement. I get to, we get to work with tenants and make sure that they're having an enjoyable place to live, and that we're being protective of that and making sure that we're operating as an ethical property management company. Um, getting the opportunity to kind of have an impact on real people's lives, that I think is one of the main things that's kept me in real estate, just apart from the money and apart from the freedom. It's why I love this industry. It's always been more about just getting to work with clients that I have real relationships with, more than it is about just houses. Like it's that's just, I mean, the house is just it's just a thing that allows me to be a part of people's lives in that way. Very rewarding.
Yeah, I think those top two are the thing is beyond money, as I asked you earlier, because you know what, time, they say time is gold. It's one of the most common sayings that we got. Because time you can never get back. Money you can earn maybe a million in a year or two when you're like 49 or 60, but you can't go back to lost time. You can have the energy to travel or spend time with your kids, but time you can't. And also kindness goes a really long way to money because that person that you help achieving their first home, generations might be thanking you like, hey, because of you I was able to have my own home, so my family's and the generations to come has a secure place to live in. It it really warms you more than just what money can buy, because what you buy with money, after some time, a new car, it gets old, but those people that you make the connections and helping people is the thing that really matters the most for long term. So, Orion, thank you so much for sharing your story and, of course, some tips as well. And before we end this, of course, what are the best ways to contact you and get in touch with you if they wanted to avail your services and look at your listings?
Yeah, 100%. So you can contact me. My email address is probably the best way. RYAN, Ryan at intriguepm.com. That's INTRIGUE, P as in Peter, M as in Mary.com. And you could go to our website, which is also intriguepm.com, if you want to just check out the real estate and property management services that we offer. I'm on Instagram. You can check that out. That's at realtor.ryan. That's me.
Okay, so thank you so much for that, and we'll be sure to post that in the description box, so it's easier to copy paste and get all the links and the email address and numbers if you need to. So Ryan, that is our episode for today. Thank you so much for everyone that has tuned in another episode here at the Sphere Rocket Podcast Network. Goodbye, everyone. Feeling overwhelmed by your business tasks? Well, it's time to step up your game. Visit www.spherocketva.com and get a virtual assistant from us at Sphere Rocket VA. Streamline your business operations and focus on what really matters.